This is me on my way to Cascade Canyon in Grand Teton National Park, escaping bears, hiking through a torrential downpour, you know, the chill stuff. Now you might be wondering why I care so much about this Cascade Canyon. And if you're thinking that, you must not have seen these pictures of Cascade Canyon. Carved by glaciers over 15,000 years ago, Cascade Canyon is easily one of the most magical hiking destinations in the whole park. And I've been wanting to go here for a long time. There's also supposed to be a lot of really cool flora and fauna along the way, so who knows what we're gonna find. Here at Grand Teton National Park, the hike today, right there, off to Cascade Canyon. Hi, my name is Tyler Conforti, and my school gave me $1,200 to help me create this documentary about national park preservation. Now more than ever, our parks are under threat by the government, and not enough people are talking about it. And so I road tripped across the country for 2.5 weeks to tell this story. This is episode 2 of the series. Welcome to Common Ground. As we were walking along Jenny Lake to get to the Cascade Canyon trailhead, we saw a lot of really pretty wildflowers. And after doing some research, I learned that the ecosystem would literally fall apart without them. There are tons of flowers in this region. The Rocky Mountain columbine, arrowleaf balsamroot, Saskatoon serviceberry, and Nuttall's larkspur, just to name a few. And like many other ecosystems, flowers have a lot of roles. They're a food source for insects and small animals, and they literally hold the land together with their root system. And in these high altitude meadows, it's really important to help mitigate erosion. Another place you see a lot of wildflowers are in the sagebrush habitats. And this sagebrush stuff covers about 1/3 of the whole park. And that alone makes them important to talk about. I mean, literally, there are sagebrush flats where it's nothing but sagebrush. But it's cool, because a healthy sagebrush habitat actually encourages the growth of a lot of wildflowers and native grass species. However, because of farming and ranching practices back in the day, there's been a lot of destructive invasive species that have been introduced to this ecosystem that a lot of people are actively trying to fix. And another reason it's important is because it's a very significant food source for everything from insects to birds and even large mammals. And a really cool animal that you might see in the sagebrush flats are the American bison. But before we talk about that, we gotta hike a bit more. This hike was beautiful. We crossed over Cascade Creek to get into the Cascade Canyon Trail, and we had to go all the way around Jenny Lake to get there. We saw some beautiful stuff, but nothing compared to what we were gonna see later on the hike. One of the coolest animals you might come across in the plains are the American bison, which were actually almost eradicated back in the early 1800s when their nationwide population dropped from 30 million to 300. But thanks to conservation efforts aimed at population rebuilding, the Yellowstone-Teton contiguous ecosystem is actually the largest free-roaming American bison population in the world, which is likely over 5,000. And it's funny how sometimes people see a bison and confuse it for a bear. But no, this one was a bear. This was just a black bear, and so we weren't in as much danger compared to an encounter with a grizzly. As apex predators, they help control prey populations, spread seeds from the berries and plants they eat, and also put nutrients into the ecosystem from all the fish they hunt and then drag through the land. And they aren't just good for the environment of the park, but also the economy. Bears are so revered in American culture that people from all over the country and world come to see them. It's also just cool how they can climb trees better than I can. And I love climbing trees. But hey, talking about trees, the ones in Grand Teton National Park are actually anchors for the entire ecosystem. Most of the trees in Grand Teton National Park are pines or evergreens, and those are a type of conifers, a type of tree that grows pine cones. The pine cones actually help these forests resist fires, because whenever there is a fire, the pine cones release a bunch of seeds, so the forest is always able to come back. These trees are an important part of the ecosystem, mainly for the food source. The pine cones, berries, and roots that they produce are all eaten by animals around here, big and small. Many animals benefit from this, including small mammals, birds, and even grizzly bears. And also, similar to the flowers, these trees have an extensive and strong root system that literally holds the land together and prevents erosion. And then up at the top of the trees, there's a perfect spot for a bird to nest. In Cascade! Some of the bird species are the American dipper, western tanager, ruby-crowned kinglet, yellow-rumped warbler. There's no way that's his real name. The yellow-rumped warbler. Well, these birds use the glacial creek for food, and they nest all around it. The creek gives life to the canyon all the way down to Jenny Lake. The glaciers all throughout the mountain range are vital for the seasonal rotations of the park. They are the heart of the ecosystem. The Cascade Canyon Glacier feeds Cascade Creek, And the coolest part of Cascade Creek is Hidden Falls. And even though I didn't get to lay eyes on it, my campsite neighbor at Grand Teton, Kim, did get to go see Hidden Falls.
I've hiked to plenty of falls, but that, it was so rewarding because you get there. I don't know if you did that hike, but it's such a powerful falls. It was like this forceful waterfall coming down.
Hidden Falls is so beautiful, but that water flow is at risk. The glaciers are literally shrinking due to climate change, and the whole park is feeling it. Here we are in Grand Teton National Park. The ecosystem that makes up Grand Tetons is part of the larger Yellowstone ecosystem, and that is the largest intact temperate ecosystem in the entire world. The greater Yellowstone ecosystem makes up roughly 22 million acres. And because of the size and the temperature of it, that makes it for a perfect place for lots of animals that you don't see anywhere else in the country. That's part of the reason why climate change is so devastating for this ecosystem. It's because it makes it hotter and drier. Because of that, it's putting these prehistoric ecosystems at risk.
Climate change is science. It's not something you can deny or just say isn't happening. Why is the environment political? Like, what do we need and how are we so greedy? And it isn't the people, it's, big business.
In building off that question of greed, it's not just climate change that's threatening the parks, but also private development. That's something worth keeping in mind as we go through this documentary. And again, climate change is causing these retreating glaciers, and it's not a warning anymore. We're seeing it right in front of our eyes. One of the incredible things these glaciers have done is literally carving all of these mountains. How does that work, you might ask? 2 words: weathering and erosion. Beyond that is above my pay grade. The Teton mountain range was initially built up by tectonic plate movement around 6 to 9 million years ago. And so for mountains, they're actually pretty young.
And then the Tetons are where these tectonic plates smash together, and you could literally see, here's the Tetons, and behind it, here's the plate that pushed it up.
Well, honestly, part of the intangible mystery of how these mountains are made is partly what gives it so much wonder and beauty. And as I was thinking that, we finally made it. It was a little cloudy, and so the view wasn't as epic as I was expecting, but Cascade Canyon did not disappoint. Then the next thing we knew, it started to rain. Hard. Alright, I was there. A little wet. Definitely a little bit wet, but worth it. Even though I was cold and wet, I was so thankful that I got to experience what this land had to offer. And hope that one day everyone gets the chance to go out there and see the land for themselves. And hey, I know I already want to go back. And so for the mountains, animals, plants, and overall enjoyment of the people, we need to make sure that this park stays protected. And that is some common ground we can all stand on. I hope you enjoyed my adventure to Cascade Canyon. And thank you for watching all the way to the end of the video. I know you're sad it's over, but don't fret. The next episode of my docuseries Common Ground releases next week. There we're going to be talking about Rocky Mountain National Park and the cultural impacts of the parks. I'll see you there.